Mossadegh and his government were swept from power in favor of General Zahedi. 300 killed and hundreds wounded is a conservative estimate.
The treaty is a public version of a secret agreement made between Britain and France back in 1916.
Of course it was the British, of course it was the French, of course it was Europeans, of course. The lines they drew didn't really take into account language or ethnicity or regional identity. They just sort of sliced it all up amongst themselves and said, these are our new regions of power in the Middle East. The US presence in the Middle East started with one little dot, right here. But soon that dot would expand into a sprawling network of alliances, covert attacks, flows of weapons, money, and the building of innumerable bases, and eventually turning into full-on ground war.
The coup in Iran is shaping politics to this day. The United States does not want democracy in the Middle East.
Mossadegh and his government were swept from power in favor of General Zahedi.
The actual running of the coup from our side was my responsibility. It's the sort of thing you won't find in any book.
Promised the Arabs in the person of Sharif Hussein of Mecca that they could have an independent Arab state after the war. However, for the last 100 years, there has been controversy over Howard McMahon's letter to Hussein. Did he implicitly include Palestine in the proposed independent Arab state, or did he not? The Balfour Declaration. As Theodor Herzl argued that the Jewish people needed a political homeland of their own, he set out to convince leading politicians that the Jewish people needed a homeland in Palestine. The newly formed League of Nations handed control of Palestine to Britain. Britain was required to implement the Balfour Declaration by supporting the creation of a Jewish national home.
The United States delegation supports the basic principles of the unanimous recommendations and the majority plan which provides for partition and immigration.